Hey yo, this is Kotz again in my dark little cave, 3 a.m. in the morning, randomly in the mood to do a discussion video, randomly out of nowhere. I'm currently stuck between a few challenge runs on stream, but I still do want to do some other smaller Outlast Trial stuff, so I thought, okay, maybe I should do a little bit of a discussion video, especially on a topic that I think is very interesting, and that is Coyle's third main trial today, because I did do a video quite a while ago, which essentially I think I named it like why Cole hasn't gotten a third main trial yet, and I basically talked about how he should be buffed, blah 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 blah. Well, now they gave him the third main trial and they didn't buff him, so I kind of want to talk a little bit of now the aftermath, especially now since the trial's been out for a little bit at least. For one, I want to talk about it myself, but two, the main reason I also do this video, or at least one of the main reasons, is literally just comment farming, because I would love to know what the community, or like at least you guys watching, think about the main trial, because I feel it is very, very divisive, honestly. My short TLDR on my thoughts on the Coyle's third main trial is that they did better than I expected, but I do think, for me personally, it is average to below average still. It is very simplistic, the trial, and it really feels like they were too scared to give Cole something, I don't know, something demanding, if that makes sense. Like, looking at the objectives, heavy object to Shredder, we've done that like back in 2023, I don't know. Same with pipes, with like a little bit of a twist. Padlock, not padlock, but like a door lock with, the blacklight shit. The crafting system is very interesting, and I do think that is a cool strength of the trial, and I'm looking forward to the MK challenges to that. However, I do feel it is heavily underutilized because you don't need to do it besides the tutorial. And even with hard variators, potentially like countdown, no running, whatever, you don't feel the need to interact with it. Hell, it took me a few playthroughs until I figured out how, the levers, where the levers even go, I always was like on A sector, for example. Oh yeah, I just always go all the way around to like laundry for like the pipe and then go back and just leave the gates that way. Same with like tutorial, you could technically unlock a shortcut and lift the gates again, but I never really saw the point. Same also with the pickaxe, with like gate 5 and 6, I think it is. You can like pull a lever to make a shortcut for like the pickaxe, but I never really found really the incentive to do so, because it never felt really inconvenient if you didn't engage with the mechanic. The only time where I felt, okay, maybe that's worth it, is blowing up the basement. Blowing up the basement in an awake zone can be very beneficial, but like a lot of the other spots with like blowing up in the walls and the levers feels very, very optional, but also in not the greatest way, because you don't really have an incentive enough to actually do it, and that mostly boils down to the trial environment itself not really that challenging. Now, the enemy population isn't too bad, give or take. Obviously the biter right now sucks. Like, the biter's weak as shit, they need to buff him, blah blah blah, but it has a berserker. It can have a pretty disgusting Nowick zone constellation with like a giant and a grunt. Cool. But like overall, it doesn't feel like the crafting feels like necessary. And since the crafting is pretty much the only thing that's interesting mechanic wise, I do feel that drags the quality of the trial down by quite a bunch. Because again, the objectives themselves are pretty basic. Like, just carry heavy object there. And here's the thing, people will now make the argument, oh yeah, it's not every trial can be like ultra complex or ultra hard and so on and so forth. And yes, sure, like, I'm not expecting, oh yeah, they need to top suburbs or like they'll despoil like every single release. But at the end of the day, Trials is a live service game, okay? And there should be an effort made for if new trials come out, to make them at least give something, be somewhat demanding. At least if the trial can get made easier, have it so you actually need time to figure out how to make it easier. But it only took a few hours until you got good speedrun times on Locksock the Warden, and it's just pretty simplistic. Same, by the way, and Coyle is not in the worst offender, obviously. Same went for Silence the Idol, and the problem with that is, for example, obviously this could be a me problem, right? But I don't unless it's escalation, I don't really see the point in revisiting Silence the Idol. I'm way more excited to play Cancel the Broadcast than Silence the Idol, which is kind of a shame, because I really like Silence the Idol, and I think it's among my top trials. But since Silence the Idol is so piss easy in general, I just often do not really see, I'm often not really engaged and see the point in even playing it. Again, this is maybe from the perspective that is not reflected in other players, I can see that, but at the same time, since it's a live service game, the trials that come out, since there's only 3 trials a year, should kinda aim at, more difficulty engagement. Again, other counterexample that I mentioned back with the Coyle video was, for example, between suburbs and D-Spol, shopping mall, which, especially since the quests are very unpopular and were even less popular back then, no one really talked about it when shopping mall came out, because the quests were underwhelming, shopping mall environment wasn't really that interesting, and the trial itself was also just kinda So it's kind of bad for a live service game, in my opinion, if trials come out that are just But again, this is only my opinion. I know of people who really like Locksock the Warden, and for them I'm happy. And again, I do think with what they had, with Coyle not being buffed or anything, I think that trial is fine. It's just, I would feel vindicated a little bit when people say, "Oh yeah, but they didn't really they didn't miss the mark," but it's still pretty people realizing that I was somewhat right. I'm not saying, "Oh my god, I was so right. Now we have the third Coyle trial and it's garbage and I was right." That's not what I'm saying, because I'm not completely right. I am not completely right, because again, they exceeded my expectations, if it only wasn't by too much, but they still did, so I wasn't fully right. But still, it feels vindicating that people kind of see, oh yeah, Coyle third trial is just kind of, it's kind of alright. I have seen the sentiment of a lot of people that Snitch is obviously better than Locksock in a lot of people's ratings, and even Vindicate. So the newest Coyle edition that people have been waiting for years is, for most people, the worst Coyle edition. So yeah, kind of checks out. Again, I would just love to know what people have to say about Coyle's third trial in general, personally, because I know it's really divisive and people have been waiting for that shit for years. I personally am just more looking forward to Cress's third trial, or whatever they do with the teased general character. If the next season is gonna be a new prime method similar to how they did Lilia, because they also teased Lilia pretty early, around this time in season 4, so maybe we see the general character in season 8, in winter, who knows. But yeah, also I forgot to mention this, by the way, speaking of Coyle not getting buffs, did you know, by the way, and I thought of this in Locksock the Warden, which is another stupid thing, and that is also something that drags the quality down quite a lot, that it's random where Coyle is. He can be at B, which is fine, because he's guarding the pig cat, right? But he can also be an A in the no-rig zone. So even though his ability is garbage and doesn't do anything in 99% of the cases, he can randomly be spawned in the no-rig zone where he literally does not have an ability. And I don't know how you can justify that, oh yeah, Coyle is fine ability-wise. Some people still try to justify that, and I'm just shaking my head. I know it was the same with Vindicate, but to be fair, when Vindicate came out, the Coyle ability didn't exist yet. But now for like the third trial, after the ability has been established for so long, there's just no excuse in my opinion. But yeah, let me know what you think about Locksock. I just want to start a little bit of a discussion maybe and like just see some opinions. And that's all I want to do. I just want to see some opinions. I might also post more of these discussion videos. Like randomly. Again, this is in the middle of the night. I just randomly got in the mood to put one of these together. But yeah. Thank you so much for watching though, and yeah, have a good one everyone. Bye bye.